Our next speaker is Emily Wier. She's with Supervisor Fletcher's office, and she's going to give us a report on the electric vehicle roadmap.
Hi, everybody. My name's Emily Wier. I work for County Supervisor Nathan Fletcher, and I'm just so pleased to be here today. I recognize a lot of you. We've done so many great things on electric vehicles, and the EV Association has been such a huge ally in helping pass, the bulk of what we're going to talk about today is the electric vehicle roadmap, but other policies like Clean Cars for All, grant funding from the California Air Resources Board. So just really want to thank you all for your support for what we're doing, and it's just a pleasure to be here with you all today. So I'm going to take you on a little journey, a little road trip on what we've gotten accomplished related to electric vehicles in the past year. So Supervisor Fletcher came into office in January of this year, and just a little bit of background about the county. I kind of want to frame things up. So the county is about a $6.5 billion institution, and we only have land use authority within the unincorporated area. So, think, Alpine, Hamul, Campo, Fallbrook, et cetera. So that's kind of where we're talking when we're talking about the county investing resources. It's either our county facilities, which are kind of all throughout the county, as well as in the unincorporated area. So tonight I'm going to talk about why did we spend so much time talking about electric vehicles this year? What were our 2019 policy objectives and what did we get accomplished? What are we looking forward to in 2020? And then really digging down, I mean, you all are here today because you care about electric vehicles and you want to help, see more of them on the road. You care about climate change, air quality, all those great issues. And so what's the role of community engagement and what we've gotten accomplished? So first, why we did electric vehicles. So Supervisor Fletcher, at the start of his term, realized really quickly, we were looking at this map. This is Cal Enviro Screen. This is a tool developed by the Environmental Protection Agency. And we see some communities, the communities that are in red, have much, much higher rates of asthma than the locations that are in green or lower colors. So we're talking about an environmental justice issue. We're talking about some communities have better air than others. And in Barrio Logan, for example, a child is 8 times more likely to have asthma than a child in La Jolla. That is morally wrong. That should make all of us angry and upset. And electric vehicles, as you all know, have no tailpipe emissions. That's one great way to address these air quality concerns. So that's reason one. Reason number two was we had already done a lot of work at the county. We had initiatives underway. We had a climate action plan that spelled out some initiatives around electric vehicles. We had a green fleet action plan to try to tackle some of these things. So we already had some charging infrastructure at the county. We already had a few electric vehicles within our fleet, so we could build on progress. And the third was political opportunities. That's kind of the lens that we're thinking about things in our office is, what can we do? What is there a lane for us to really take ownership, take leadership, and run with it? And we realized, we're given our colleagues on the Board of Supervisors, we thought that electric vehicles could be an initiative where we could get support from all of our 4 other colleagues. So we ran with it. And so our approach was to create an electric vehicle roadmap. So we had the political will and we worked with our colleagues to try to ensure that they were on our side. And so, the support from conversations with you all about what could we include in an electric vehicle roadmap, what would be some of the strategies that would get people excited and in support of this action, as well as, how do we build on prior work? So we were having a lot of discussions with staff about what are we going to make, what have we done to date and how can we build upon that? And then, finally, the other big part of our approach was just to continue to drive the messages throughout the year. So March, as I mentioned, of this year, we had staff and stakeholder meetings. And then in April, we were ready to drop the policy asking staff to develop an electric vehicle roadmap. And I just want to fast forward to this really fun thing. Have you guys all heard of the carpool karaoke?
Supervisor Nathan Fletcher is pushing to make San Diego a little greener.
He wants to improve air quality, and he wants to do it now. News 8's Sean Stiles sat down for a ride with him and joins us now from downtown with more on how Fletcher plans to make his ideas reality. Sean?
Marcelo, Carla, we did a little James Corden car karaoke style interview with Supervisor Nathan Fletcher today. We came down here and rode around in an EV across the downtown area, discussing with him what he thinks the county can do to improve the air quality in San Diego.
You know, kind of want the county to step up, County of San Diego step up and be a leader, not just internally within our own, but really how do we get all of the cities and jurisdictions and the airport and the port and, you know, get everyone together.
So Supervisor Fletcher will bring legislation before the county on April 10th to do just that.
What we're proposing is really having the county create a roadmap to the future for how we as a county have a greater investment in electric vehicles for our own use, but also how we think regionally about building out the charging infrastructure. We want to make it as easy to power up your electric vehicle as it is to put gasoline in your existing car.
Having access to energy is the key.
I think electric vehicles are it's just a piece of the puzzle in tackling our climate goals, our greenhouse gas goals, our emission goals.
And if clean air isn't enough, here's the dollars and cents.
For every $10,000 in gas that someone would put in this vehicle, at the county, we only put $2,000 of energy in.
That is the proverbial carrot.
We do good for the environment. No, there is no reason. How do you oppose this? You can't. You know, it's we're doing right for the environment. We're doing right for the taxpayers.
Along the way, we stopped in Barrio Logan.
We're in a neighborhood right now that has the 97th percentile of the highest asthma rates in the entire state of California. And that is primarily because of the vehicle.
As a California Air Resources Board appointee, Supervisor Fletcher will be leading the push for better air quality.
But the largest driver of greenhouse gas emissions, the largest driver of things that make the air toxic is the vehicle. But it's not this vehicle. And for every one of these gas-burning cars we can replace with an electric vehicle, you know, we can have a real impact.
And in our discussion, the supervisor basically said, you can lead, you can follow, but don't get in the way of this clean air movement because it's coming our way and it's going to be good for all of us. The fleet right.
All right. Anyways, that's one of my favorite media pieces that we were able to do this whole year. And you will notice Nathan was driving in one of the counties at that time, about 50 Chevy Bolts that we had as part of our county fleet. So we took a spin around showing, you know, hey, we've already made progress. We already have some of these vehicles within our fleet. We can add more and we can do more with that. So, you know, we launched this video. It got a ton of attention and we got unanimous support for our electric vehicle proposal. In July, we had stakeholder meetings because we knew we didn't want to just let the issue go. We wanted to be on top of it, continuing to discuss with stakeholders, continuing to engage throughout the summer as staff was developing a set of recommendations for the roadmap itself. In October, I worked with many of you all, and as we celebrated Clean Air Day throughout the state, we had an event at the county, and CSE was also a key partner in that event, and where we raised the issue again about air quality. We allowed county employees to test drive electric vehicles. Who all was there as part of that event? Awesome. Thank you all so much. And then that really set the stage for 2 weeks later. We adopted this massive investment in building out both the county's fleet of electric vehicles as well as supporting electric vehicles throughout the county. So what's in the roadmap? What's the core of what we adopted? So like I mentioned, we have 50 electric vehicles as part of the county fleet, and so we set 2 targets for ourselves. We will have 250 electric vehicles by 2025, and then get another 251, I don't know why it's 251 rather than 250, but another 251 electric vehicles for a total of 501 by 2027. So that is a 10-fold increase in the number of electric vehicles that the county will have in our fleet. We will replace that. We will get rid of those gas-powered vehicles and replace it with an electric vehicle. And that will also be supported by the necessary charging infrastructure. So this is a huge, huge investment. And just to kind of give you a sense of the scale, this is a graph from our electric vehicle roadmap. We are talking about, close to a $20 million investment in charging infrastructure and vehicles in the next, 7 to 8 years. It's a massive, massive investment, and we're going to use grant funding where available. We're going to lean on SDG&E and others to try to make up some of those gaps. But this is a substantial investment in bringing clean vehicles to San Diego County. So the second recommendation is to accelerate the installation of EV charging infrastructure at all public locations. So this is if you go to a county library or to our building downtown, where we have some electric vehicle charging stations, but not nearly enough. We've got a facility in Kearny Mesa where about 3,000 employees work. And so this will be for, the public as well as county employees to charge. And so it's, again, what are those levers that we have as the county to help incentivize and provide options, to ameliorate range anxiety and the like. Next is continuing to promote and incentivize county employee EV ownership. And this is something that I'm also really excited about. This is an opportunity for us to get creative. We've heard, we heard earlier from Brian about, some of the upfront costs associated with electric vehicles, electric motorcycles. How can we help reduce those costs? And so we're exploring those with lending partners and other financial institutions to see what we can do to help lower that upfront cost. And so these are some of the, fun pictures from our electric vehicle ride and drive on October 2nd. And so this is something else that we're going to be considering as part of the strategy, is doing outreach and allowing county employees, there's about 18,000 of them, to drive an electric vehicle. And so that's a huge market that we can tap into potentially. The next recommendation is EV charging in, requiring EV charging in new residential, multifamily, commercial buildings. And this is something that staff is working on developing right now. So we've got some work to do, but if you all have any thoughts on what you'd like to see, we'd be open to suggestions. The next one is funding an EV expert. And this is something that was around for a while, but then funding was cut for that. But that would be a resource for people that are considering electric vehicles to tap into that person for knowledge on what grants do I go after? How do I plug in my car to a charging station? And just, a lot of these resources that CSE has, but let's amplify that message and see what we can do to make it easy for everybody to drive an electric vehicle. Oops. Okay. And so this is a photo from our press conference when we were announcing the EV roadmap, and Larry's in that picture. The recommendation number 5 is to collaborate with regional partners to support public and private fleet electrification. So this is a picture. So Supervisor Fletcher also serves as chair of MTS, our transit agency, and MTS has 8 electric buses that will now be part of their fleet, and many more to come. There's a statewide rule. All of our transit buses will be electric by 2040. And so this is one of them. You may see them on the road sometime soon. And so, these are the kind of, regional initiatives where we are getting more and more, electric vehicles, electric buses, electric trucks on the road. And so we are excited about, the possibilities from Cal EVIP, California Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Program. There's some discussions underway on what that could look like. We're starting discussions on how do we streamline regional EV charging infrastructure permitting. How do we get more electric school buses on the road? So this is all part of the county's discussions. And I guess that's it for the components of the roadmap. But we had a bunch of other 2019 priorities in addition to the roadmap. So if that whole thing wasn't enough, we had more. So we had Clean Air for All. This was a close to $30 million grant campaign that we launched with CARB. This is funding the retirement and replacement of heavy duty trucks, such as this county ag weights and measures vehicle right here, with a clean option. We launched Clean Cars for All. Well, we got the funding to do this, which is a low-income scrap and replace program. So that will be $5 million annually. We also celebrated Clean Air Day at the county, and this is going to be something that we continue to do each year. So what do we got for 2020? As I mentioned, we have this regional electric vehicle collaborative that we'd like to launch. We have these ongoing discussions with Cal EVIP. Right now, my boss sits on the California Air Resources Board, and they were debating an advanced clean truck rule. And so this would provide a pathway for 100% electric trucks throughout California. So these are medium and heavy duty trucks, these long haul freight trucks, these drayage trucks, the Amazon trucks, the UPS trucks, all electric. What does that roadmap look like? And so that is a very, very exciting discussion with really significant air quality benefits for our communities. We're talking about how we provide for a good transition for our electrical workers. There's a program, the Electric Vehicle Institute training program, that trains our electrical workers to work on EV infrastructure, how to maintain that, how to install it properly. So we're working on initiatives to make sure that we've got good green jobs in San Diego. And then I talked about Clean Cars for All, the low-income scrap and replace program, and that's going to launch at the end of next year. And that's going to be a really, really important tool for our low-income communities. Lastly, I just want to talk about the EV community. You all are here because you care about electric vehicles. You know how great they are. You volunteer. You come talk to the County Board of Supervisors in support of policies. You show up at press conferences. Advocate for other different initiatives. And this is really absolutely important work. And so I just want to thank you all for everything that you do. And so this is a photo. We had a great stakeholder roundtable discussion, and Supervisor Fletcher heard directly from folks, what are the exciting things that we should be doing around electric vehicles? How do we really turn the needle on this? And as I mentioned at the beginning, there's a pretty big lane for Supervisor Fletcher for electric vehicles, for us to shape policy. And Nathan wants to hear from you all as to what we should be doing. And so this is the beginning, I hope, of year after year progress. I mean, we've got 35,000 electric vehicles in San Diego County. I mean, we could have a 10-fold increase, and it would still be less than 10% of all the vehicles in San Diego. So how do we really make some substantial progress? And so we're doing what we can at the county for county residents and using our levers the way that we think we can, but so much more is going to be needed. And that's all I have. I'd be happy to take some questions. I don't know how we are on time, but thank you.
The air quality control districts in the north of us have some pretty aggressive programs like buying level 2 chargers and things like that to reduce the cost of getting into diesel vehicles. Do you have any things like that?
Thank you so much for bringing up our air pollution control district. So the air pollution control district in San Diego County functions as the county board of supervisors. So we are very different than South Coast Air Quality Management District, Bay Area Air Quality Management District that are totally separate entities and have really taken air quality seriously. San Diego has the 6th worst air quality in the entire country. And so we have a lot of work we need to do. So there definitely could be some type of those programs that we do in the coming years. I mean, that would be really, really exciting. One of the best, or in my perspective, one of the best bills this year was AB 423 by Assemblyman Todd Gloria, and that remakes our Air Pollution Control District Board to be more diverse, to include representatives from city government, county government, environmental justice advocates, academic experts. And so with that new board that's supposed to take hold in the beginning of 2021, I expect we will see a much stronger mandate on air quality issues, a much stronger investment in, electric vehicle charging infrastructure, electric vehicles themselves, and all sorts of other air pollution control devices. Yeah. But I will say one of our, as I mentioned, we are building on progress that the county has already made or committed to. And so one of the things that the county committed to in our climate action plan was to invest to purchase and install about 2,000 electric vehicle chargers in the unincorporated area. And so they will be moving forward on that program probably late next year. Again, that's the unincorporated area, but hopefully that will, start to seed the market, and then we can have other entities that are, really investing in this.
Speaking of infrastructure, I noticed in one of your pictures that you had one of the Envision Solar EV arcs. Mm-hmm. And I know sometimes the funding is set up for infrastructure that for some reason it doesn't allow money to go towards that kind of infrastructure. But is the county, I know New York has purchased a lot of those, Caltrans has purchased a lot of those, and it's a local company. Is the county planning to do something more with Envision Solar EV arcs? And I know they can be used for emergency purposes too, because they charge up with solar power.
Yeah, so this is thanks Larry. So this is the kind of contraption that you see here. We've got an electric Chevy Bolt charging. There's a panel right here, and then a solar panel up top connected to the chargers. And they work really well, actually a little bit too well. We were in our press conference, we were about to start filming, and a county employee got to his vehicle and was like, I just finished charging. I need to go to my next site. Can I have my car? And we said, can you wait 5 minutes? We've got a press conference we're trying to do. Anyway, he was very gracious about that, which was much appreciated. But so we've got this one Envision Solar Arc. They're a great company. I don't know that we have other plans to purchase more of those Envision arcs. I think they are, from a resiliency standpoint, they're great because you're totally off the grid. They're movable, and I think they tell a really important story. They tell a story about linking solar energy, clean solar energy, with your electric vehicle. So it's zero emissions all the way through.
I don't own any stock in the company, but it's a local company, and I think the county should find a way to use more of these, especially if they can be used like for emergency purposes when the grid goes down. We're seeing more of that. So that's another reason they should really seriously.
Right.
Drive on sunshine. Go in there.
Yeah.
Well, one of the major sources of gas car vehicles flowing into the community are the rental cars coming out of the airport. People come by and they get a gas guzzle and they drive around. Have we made any thoughts about encouraging the rental car companies to make electric cars available as one of their offerings?
Yes, we have been thinking about that. One of the programs that I know does that is in Orlando, Florida. That's organized by the Drive Electric Orlando Coalition, and it's been pretty successful. It's a combination of rental car companies, tourism destinations like, Disneyland, Disney World. Okay, thank you. Universal Studios, etc. And you get preferential parking at the hotels. You get preferential parking at the zoo, at the Disney World, etc. And so I think it's a great idea. It's just a matter of, I think, time and bandwidth to figure out how we could make this work in San Diego. But I think that would be a really fascinating opportunity for the region. It does make a ton of sense.
What you're talking about so far is the county and its facilities and its people adopting green electric transportation. And what we're about is educating the million-plus people out there in San Diego about all the benefits of electric transportation systems. How do you see that the county itself is contributing to that visibility to the million-plus people that electric transportation is the way to go and the benefits inherent in it?
Yeah, well, so I mean, we're communicating with the folks that we have touch points to, and I think that's going to be a question because much of our engagement on the climate action plan, other green initiatives have been very county centric, where we haven't done a good job necessarily of broadcasting our initiatives, doing outreach. And so I think we're starting to change that. I think we're starting to change that philosophy and be more external facing rather than internal facing. And I think that's something that I would like to see. And I think it's part of this is leadership from I think that's why Nathan is trying to take this on as an issue and really be able to run with it, because he sees an opening. And so from his role as a county supervisor on the California Air Resources Board, as chair of MTS, keep pushing this narrative of, we need to go to electric vehicles, and educating the public through his voice. But I think that there's a lot more work, we all need to do. And so I think this is maybe where we can, spend some time and get creative as to how do we, tap into the resources that you all bring and the enthusiasm for electric vehicles that you all bring, to make sure that we're educating everybody about those benefits.
Just want to come on, I think one thing you're doing, or one thing the county can do from his perspective, is the fact that they're using electric vehicles for work vehicles for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And you're getting butts and seats. And they get those people in the car, then they go home and they drive their gas car, they go, oh, this kind of sucks. And so they might start thinking about getting an electric car for themselves because they're used to it at work, something they're getting exposed to now just because they're forced to drive electric car because that's what their work car is. Yeah. And that kind of helps spread some news because of their, again, it's like you do, we share with family, we share with friends, they share with
That's the biggest step of change that we see in the attitude towards electric vehicles. And that's why we're always doing ride drives, is once you get that foot on the accelerator of an electric vehicle, everything changes. The light bulb comes on.
Yeah, And so we did, we hosted, on Clean Air Day, we hosted an electric vehicle ride and drive for county employees and other people that were working downtown. And so we got about 100 test drives that day. And it was great for an initial first event. And so that was, and that was not even including all the folks that walked through and saw all the different booths from Sullivan Solar Power, from the American Lung Association, and everybody was from CSE, all talking about why we need electric vehicles. And so there are other opportunities like that we hope that the county will explore, as well as, like you said, the workers that are driving these vehicles, they're getting exposure that way. So
and they're also getting exposure because they're driving in public, and people see more EVs just because.
They make it obvious on the outside of the car that it's
I think it is. I think that's important. Branding on the car itself. Somebody say, runs on sunshine or whatever the EV that we're doing. Help people recognize.
Larry?
Yeah, one of the items you had on there was electric school buses. And I'm interested in what the county can do related to that. And at the same time, just want to announce this Saturday, kind of sponsored by the Sierra Club, they're having a meeting at Linda Vista to promote electric school buses. So anybody here who's interested in that, see me after the meeting. Maybe someone from the county may want to come. But what is your thinking on the electric school buses?
Yeah, so this is very firmly in the bucket of partnerships that we wish to explore. The county, there's the County Office of Education, but we are completely separate from that institution. And so it's really, so we've been in some initial discussions, and they're excited about electric school buses. We have about, I want to say about 10 electric school buses that were funded through grants from the California Energy Commission. And so those school buses, I believe that they are taking kids to and from school, and they are on the road at this point in time. And everything that I've heard from talking to folks at the California Energy Commission and the California Air Resources Board is that school districts want school buses, and there just is not enough grant funding to help make up that delta between the diesel school bus and a new electric school bus. So, we're trying to think about, can we lease batteries in the electric school buses? Because those can be valuable grid storage assets. What other kind of interesting financing things can we do to help make it easier for school districts to have an electric school bus? So we're just kind of, again, in the discussions phase, and if anybody has ideas, be happy to chat about them. But this seems like a win-win-win for everybody involved, and particularly when we're talking about health for our kids. That's paramount. Yeah, great. Thank you, everybody.